Hello and welcome to the Gorgeous Goddess YouTube channel. So this video is about why your ego feels like you. Wow, this is going to be an interesting concept to explain. I think we need to go all the way back to when your soul was created. So why is it that when you feel your personality, why is it that you're not feeling a connection to a God or source? Why is it that you feel like a human being? And why is it that the you that you feel feels the way it does? Why does the sun sometimes feel unworthy? Why do you sometimes feel lower emotions? Really, it's because you have created an ego and your consciousness is basically stuck in the energies of the ego and experiencing that as itself. So how does this happen? So, if we look at everything in the universe is energy, and if you take it that it was created out of the consciousness of God, then all energy has the capacity to have consciousness. But not everything is conscious, like this glass behind me isn't conscious at this point in time anyway, right? But we are conscious. So how did that happen? So, when your spirit was created, it was like these unique vibrations and qualities and energies, of unconditional love, of peace, of beauty and truth, and all these beautiful vibrations that are energetically quite high in vibration were concentrated. And out of that concentration of that consciousness of God, self-awareness and a new consciousness sprung, that is you. So it's like you are both an energy, you are a concentration of God consciousness in beautiful vibrations and self-awareness. And it's important to know that there's those two things, because you can do with your self-awareness, with the fact that you are actually conscious and feeling and experiencing what you will. And see, when you come and embody on earth, what you're meant to do, see, when you descend into these lower vibrations, you do lose a little bit of that self-awareness, because this is quite, compared to those vibrations that you were made out of, this is quite, this environment is quite low vibrational. And through experiencing and interacting with this environment, you're meant to learn about yourself, and your consciousness is meant to re-hook in to those vibrations that are your being, and you're meant to learn how to hold that. Because if you never came here to embody, you wouldn't have the experience of your awareness being able to, or your self-awareness being able to create and experience vibrations that were lower than yourself. This is kind of like a little sandbox environment where you get to experience all types of vibrations in a kind of a safe, protected environment without it destroying you. So through experiencing lower vibrations and then comparing them to your vibration, you really learn how to hold your vibration and how to be who you are. And it is when you come here, you take on all these low vibrations, you feel the pain of them, you realize you do not really want to be these low vibrations, and then you realign with who you are, you realign with your original energy, and you use that energy to dissolve these lower vibrations that you've taken on, and you are able to go back into, spiritual realm, ascend. That's the process, right? And those lower vibrations that you take on, we would call your ego. Now, what happens is that, so when you first arrive here, and you're maybe not, you're suffering from a little bit of amnesia, and you don't really remember who you are, and your self-awareness, wherever its attention goes, that's where the energy goes that you are receiving from your source. Because you're not just the initial energy that you had when you were created and that self-awareness, you're also constantly receiving more energy. That whatever your consciousness does and whatever it focuses on, including what vibration that it holds in its awareness, that's what happens to that energy. And if you're holding the energy of hatred, then the energy of hatred gets lodged into your soul vessel and your being, and you create an ego. So a lot of the time, you when you embody here, you experience pain, or what happens when you're suffering from a little bit of amnesia is when you come here and you experience things that are out of alignment with love, people hurting you, people not accepting you, you can take on false beliefs. It can occur to you that maybe I'm unworthy, maybe I am or maybe I'm hated, maybe I'm not loved, maybe I've been abandoned by God to be here. So this is how your ego starts to form, because you come here, you don't really remember your true nature, and then you take on beliefs that are not true. You haven't been abandoned by God. You are here out of your own choice to have a learning experience, and you're not being hurt by others because your true self can't actually be hurt. Your true self can't actually, your spirit can't be hurt. Your body can be hurt, but not your spirit. So when you take on these ideas and hold them as truths, then that creates an emotional reaction. Like, when you take on the belief that people hate you and you're unworthy, then you experience emotional pain. And you start holding vibrations of unworthiness, and because you're constantly receiving energy from your source, and because your self-awareness or your consciousness, you're that part of you that is able to pay attention to something and experience something, whatever that part of you focuses on, that's how it directs their energy. So if you are holding the thought, I'm unworthy, and you're experiencing the vibrations of unworthiness, you are creating in your being vibrations of unworthiness. What happens is these are just vibrations, they're just energy, they're dead. But what happens is that your consciousness and the stream of energy that it receives, this is alive. And when that consciousness actually experiences those vibrations, it's almost like it brings that vibration to life. You experience that as yourself. You experience that, you experience that being, that unworthy being, as being truly alive, right? The energies that you're actually experiencing, they're not really alive. It's your consciousness that's alive. It's that stream, it's that light, it's that God light that streams through you that actually enlivens this. But when you are experiencing that vibration, it does feel like this is who you are. It does feel true, because it's your consciousness that starts to experience this as a reality, because your consciousness makes real anything that it experiences and holds, and your consciousness then experiences the world through those concepts and vibrations. So if you've got a belief that I'm unworthy, then anything, when you're in that vibration, when your consciousness is in that vibration, everything that happens around you, it's almost like it goes through the filter of that energy, and you don't see the reality. You experience a reality plus this overlay of I am unworthy. So that's why, a lot of people do try to take a lot of actions out in the world to feel worthy, but in the end, you just keep, like you're on a treadmill, you keep doing more and more because you can't constantly experience the world through your own unworthiness. So, that's why you then experience yourself as the ego. That's why you experience yourself as a personality, because you've got this sense of awareness that anything that it focuses upon, it experiences, and any kind of energy in your being that it almost like seeps into, it will experience as itself, and it will enliven it and give it a persona and a personality. Now, to actually allow if you were to actually uncreate this, if you are still inside this energy when you're uncreating it, it will feel like who you are is dying. Because as that energy is being washed away and you are still inside it, you are experiencing what you think you are as dying. And this is why it's so difficult to let go of the ego, because we've all created these egos that are so complex, have so many different types of energies, and each kind of part is based out of a different idea that's not true. So, it's difficult for our consciousness to actually not hold these energies and these beliefs, because we would need to go and look at the base beliefs. So for example, those examples I gave before is, okay, I'm unworthy, or people hurt me, or I've been abandoned by God. When you are in a part of your ego that is a vibration of unworthiness, and that unworthiness was created based on a belief that you're unworthy, it's very difficult for your consciousness to leave that vibration unless it actually undoes this base idea that you're unworthy. And it's very difficult if you feel that you've been abandoned to come out of that, energy of I guess if you feel abandoned, it might be of loneliness, of aloneness, of being, being outcast, and all those kinds of feelings and vibrations, unless you undo that belief that you have been abandoned. So you can imagine that you're stuck in this structure that's these energies that have been created out of your consciousness holding and focusing on false beliefs. And you might have thousands of these in your being, and we kind of tend to bounce around as something happens, something gets triggered and something starts to vibrate. And it's almost like our consciousness gets drawn like a gravitational pull into these things that are vibrating. And, it's difficult. It can be very difficult to let go of these things, but you do need to go hunting for the beliefs at the base of these energies if you want to let them go. Okay, so if you are trying to allow yourself to let go of a vibration, and it's holding you, you need to look, okay, underneath it all, what is the belief? And a lot of the time you'll just skirt around the surface, right? Because those beliefs are actually quite painful. And what we actually do is, let's say you've got a belief that you're unworthy and you've got this energy of unworthiness. And then what we've tended to do is then create further ego structures on top of it. So, but I'm a hard worker. I need to work hard to be worthy. So then, you create another kind of energy of this need to work hard on top of it all. You might create this sense of niceness towards people that's really not genuine, but it's, you might create energies on top of that. A lot of the time we're stuck in these top energies, which are really just hiding the thing on the bottom. So really to realign with who you are, you do need to go digging deep. You do need to explore your consciousness. You need to allow yourself to sink and experience what's there at the depth. It's a very interesting process. But if you do it, the freedom you get from letting these, from freeing yourself from your ego and the joy, you're meant to live in pure love. You're meant to live in pure joy. You're meant to live in joy that's not tainted by any lower vibration, not tainted by any sort of fear, not tainted by any sort of self-doubt, not tainted by any sort of sadness or anger or disappointment. You're meant to live in pure joy. And that's the prize if you can undertake this journey to free yourself from these energies you've created. The prize is pure joy.